Hello guys, welcome to the course. We'll be looking at function. So what is function? Function is the consideration of the main objective for a piece of graphic work and how well a design is explored and executed to meet that objective. This simply means that every graphic design has an objective. It has a reason why it's being designed. It has a goal. A design that has function is a design that meets the goal or the objective why it is being designed. So the ultimate goal of any graphic design is to communicate effectively and make an impression. Therefore, it's very important that the right impression is made and the expected outcome is achieved. For us to really understand how important function is in design, let's look at some examples. Let's take a look at one of the items we see every day and also take note of how it is designed according to its function. For example, the tire of a car. Have you ever wondered why the tire of a car is round and not square? Have you ever thought of that? The reason the tire of a car is round is because the function of the tire of a car is to move the vehicle. For this movement to happen, the tire has to be round for easy movement. You see how the function of this part of the car is the reason why this part of the car has the shape it has. So in the car industry, no designer can wake up one morning and decide to make the tire of a car square or any other shape that is not round because he wants to make something different or something that is cool or something that is beautiful or something that looks outstanding, and I decide to make the tire of a car square or triangle. The tire of a car has to be round because of the function of the tire. So let's look at another vehicle. Look closely at this vehicle. See how the tire is different from the first tire here that we have seen. Why can't they make this tire the same size with the former tire? Why is this one bigger? Why does it have a groove that is bigger than the one in the former tire? Why? So everything about this particular vehicle and why it is looking the way it is looking and why it has the kind of tire it has is all because of its function. And by function, I mean where this car is designed to operate in. So this vehicle is designed to operate in the mountains and climb rocks. They are called rock crawlers. So you see how the shape of this car, the design of the tire, the design of the body, the design of the mechanical systems are the way they are because of the function of the car, because of where the car is meant to operate in. These are pointers to the fact that designers don't just design. Designers design considering the function of what they are designing. So I have decided to take out these examples from the automobile industry or mechanical industry for you to understand how function affects designs or the importance of function in design. So coming back to graphic design, the same principle applies. Graphic design is not just about making things look pretty. Graphic design is the organization and the presentation of information developed through a creative process for a particular function. So, in other words, the function or the goal of your graphic design determines the graphic design elements you use. So, since you've known the importance of function in design, and how function determines how a design will end up looking like or the graphic design elements we use in a design, then how do we determine the function of a design? Like, how do we now know what that design is meant for? The function of a design is contained in what we call a design brief. As a designer, you are not designing for yourself, right? You're designing for a client, and the client reaches out to you and the client now says, I want to design this flyer and I want this flyer to contain this particular information, and this is why I want to design this flyer, right? So after telling you all he wants to do with the flyer and the impression he wants the flyer to make, then it is now your responsibility as a designer to put elements in the design that will meet the need or to meet the purpose of that flyer design. That purpose of that flyer design is the function of that flyer design. So why design that flyer? You don't just throw in elements anyhow you like because they look pretty, or you don't just start using things up and down because they just look nice. Whatever you're putting into that flyer design is because of what the client wants that flyer to achieve. So that purpose or the function of that flyer guides whatever element you're putting into that design. Therefore, the design brief is an overview of a project, what's required, and the design problems that need to be solved. And designers usually get design briefs from the client by sending a form for the client to fill, maybe listening to the client and taking note of what the client is saying that he needs about that particular project. So the design brief helps you to know the objective of that design project. By objective, we mean the goal or the essence of that design project. Then it also helps you know the target audience of that project. It also helps you know the age bracket of that design project. When you know the objective of a project, you know the target audience, you know the age bracket. All these things helps you know the kind of design elements you use, like colors, the kind of colors you use for that project. Because you see, the kind of colors you use when you're designing for a project that has to do with children is not the kind of colors you use when you're designing for a project that has to do with an adult. The project for children use more of bright colors and attractive colors, playful colors. For an adult, you don't use such set of colors because your design will not be able to communicate effectively to that age bracket. So you see how all these things affect your design. In other words, the design brief helps you know what you are designing and what you're delivering to the client at the end of the day. It's like a roadmap for your creative process. It determines the look and feel of your design. It determines the design elements to use. It determines the kind of pictures and images you use in your design. It determines how you apply your design principles. Design brief will be handled in depth in one of the future courses. So let's look at example of one of the flyer designs we have used in our previous courses and see how it is designed according to its function. So first of all, let's look at the objective of this design. The objective of this design is to invite newcomers or to invite the general public to come and worship with this church, right? Therefore, the word worship with us becomes the most important message in this design because it is the most important message which embodies the objective of this design. You see, it instantly becomes the biggest word in this design. When you look at this design, your eye first of all goes to the core message of the design, which is for you to worship with the church. The word worship is in bold red because of how attractive the color red is, so that you won't mistakenly not notice that word. So immediately look at this flyer. The first place your eye goes to is the word worship. Then gradually it goes to with us before you even look around to get every other information on the flyer. So you see how the objective of this flyer design, the function of this flyer design has determined the size of the word worship with us. Also, at the bottom half of this flyer design, you see that the image used at the background is the image of a family, a man and a wife with their children. Why do you think they use this image? Why can't they just use an image of two children? Why didn't they just use the image of a guy and a lady holding hands? Why didn't they just use the image of an old man and an old woman sitting together? Why did they choose this particular image? They didn't just use it because they love to use it or they want to use it. This particular image is serving a purpose. This church is trying to give you the impression that they are like a family in the church and they treat members like family. That's the impression they're trying to create with this. Without even making it obvious, they are passing the information to you psychologically. So in summary, we don't just use elements in design because they look pretty or because they are cool or because we feel like. Every element we use in design are used because of a purpose they are serving. Every singular element you put in a design should have a purpose. It should have a reason. This is the singular attribute that separates amazing designers from an average designer. Amazing designers use elements with purpose and reason, but an average designer throws elements around. Every element you use in your design should have a reason why it is there. It should be serving a purpose in that design, else it has to be removed. So this is it, guys, for function as a design principle. See you in the next video where we'll talk about proportion